Imagine for a moment you're lost in a dense forest. The sun has set, the path has vanished, and every rustle of leaves sounds like a threat. Your heart pounds, fear grips you, and you feel utterly alone, perhaps even hopeless. This feeling of being lost, of not knowing which way to turn, is something many of us experience in life's chaotic moments. It could be a sudden job loss, a health crisis, a broken relationship, or just the overwhelming pressure of daily life. We strive, we push, we try to find our own way, but often we just sink deeper into the confusion. This is precisely where the timeless truth of Psalm 23 speaks to our weary souls. It doesn't promise a life without forests or darkness, but it introduces us to a shepherd who knows every twist and turn, who walks with us, and whose very presence transforms our fear into peace. He doesn't just point the way, he is the way. He doesn't just offer provisions, he is our provision. When we declare, "The Lord is my shepherd," we are not just reciting words, we are making a profound declaration of trust, acknowledging that our deepest needs for guidance, comfort, provision, and protection are met not by our own striving, but by His unfailing care. He leads us beside still waters, restores our souls, and guides us in paths of righteousness, not because we deserve it, but because He is good. In moments of overwhelming chaos or decision-making, pause. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and consciously visualize Jesus, your shepherd, standing beside you. Ask Him, "Shepherd, where are you leading me now? What is the next small step you want me to take?" Then, intentionally surrender your need to control the outcome and trust that He will guide you, even if it's just one step at a time. This simple act of surrender and visualization can shift your focus from the overwhelming problem to the all-sufficient shepherd. If you're listening to this, chances are you know what it feels like to carry a heavy load that no one else seems to see. It's that invisible weight on your shoulders, a constant hum of worry or sadness that follows you like a shadow. You wake up and it's there. You try to go about your day, but it whispers in your ear, reminding you of what's missing, what's broken, what feels impossible. This isn't just a bad mood. It's a deep weariness in your soul, a profound confusion about why things are the way they are. You look around, and it seems like everyone else has it together, that they're moving forward while you feel stuck, trapped in a cycle of disappointment or despair. Perhaps you've been through so much, seen so many dreams fade, faced so many closed doors, that the very idea of hope feels like a cruel joke. You've tried to be strong, to push through, to find solutions on your own. You've probably prayed, maybe even cried out, and then felt like your voice was lost in the vast silence. This feeling of being unheard, unseen, and utterly alone in your struggle, that's the real pain. It's the kind of pain that makes you want to pull away, to hide, to simply give up on trying. Your soul feels tired, not just from physical exhaustion, but from the constant battle within, the fight to keep going when every fiber of your being just wants to lie down and surrender. Think about a time when you felt completely overwhelmed. Maybe it was a financial crisis that seemed to swallow everything you had worked for, or a health diagnosis that turned your world upside down, leaving you feeling vulnerable and afraid. Perhaps it was a relationship that shattered, leaving behind a gaping wound in your heart. In those moments, it's not just the external problem that hurts, it's the internal chaos, the swirling questions of, "Why me?" or "What did I do wrong?" You feel a deep sense of injustice, a feeling that life has dealt you an unfair hand. This confusion can be paralyzing, making it impossible to see a clear path forward. You might even start to believe that this is just your lot in life, that this pain is permanent, and that there's no escape from the weariness that has settled deep within your bones. This is the inertia we talk about. It's not just laziness, it's a profound inability to move, to take that first step, because the weight of everything feels too heavy. You want to change, you desperately want things to be different, but the energy, the will, the very belief that change is possible has been drained from you. You might find yourself just going through the motions, existing rather than truly living. The joy has faded, the laughter feels forced, and even simple tasks feel monumental. This isn't a failure on your part, it's the natural consequence of carrying too much for too long without the right support. It's the soul crying out for relief, for a moment of peace, for a sign that someone somewhere understands. Let me tell you about Sarah, a woman who cared for her ailing mother for years. Day in and day out, she poured herself out, sacrificing her own dreams, her own time, her own energy. She loved her mother deeply, but the constant demands, the sleepless nights, the endless worry slowly eroded her spirit. She felt isolated, her friends drifted away, and she had no time for herself. Sarah felt a profound sense of loneliness, a weariness that went beyond physical exhaustion. She would often sit by her mother's bedside, tears silently streaming down her face, asking, "God, where are you in all this? Am I just meant to disappear?" She felt trapped, unable to see an end to her responsibilities, unable to imagine a life beyond caregiving. Her soul was tired. Her mind was a whirlwind of anxieties, and she felt completely stuck, unable to break free from the inertia of her situation. She wasn't looking for an escape from her love for her mother, but from the crushing weight of her own silent suffering. She longed for peace, for rest, for someone to see her, truly see her, in her pain. This is why this message is so important. Because if you resonate with Sarah's story, if you feel that same invisible burden, that same deep confusion, that same soul weariness, then you need to hear this. You are not alone. Your pain is seen. Your confusion is understood. Your tired soul is acknowledged. And this very moment right now is an invitation to break that inertia. It's an invitation to take a breath, to release some of that burden, and to open your heart to a truth that can bring profound peace. The world may not understand your struggle, but there is a shepherd who does. He sees every tear, hears every silent prayer, and knows the exact weight you are carrying. He doesn't judge your weariness, he offers rest. He doesn't dismiss your confusion, he offers clarity. He doesn't ignore your pain, he offers healing. This is not about finding strength within yourself when you have none left. It's about leaning on a strength far greater than your own. It's about taking that first tiny step out of the overwhelming darkness and into the gentle light of His presence. Now, let's talk about shifting your perspective. When you are deep in the forest, surrounded by shadows, it's almost impossible to see the sun. Your focus is entirely on the immediate darkness, the tangled roots, the unseen dangers. But what if you could lift your gaze, even just a little? What if you could remember that above the thick canopy, the sun is still shining? This is what a renewed mindset looks like. It's not about ignoring the difficulties, it's about changing the lens through which you view them. It's about understanding that even in the midst of chaos, there is an unchanging truth, a steady hand guiding you. The world tells you to rely on yourself, to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, to be strong. But when your strength is gone, where do you turn? This is where faith becomes active, not just a belief, but a living, breathing principle that transforms your reality. Think about David, the shepherd boy who faced Goliath. From a human perspective, it was an impossible battle. A young boy armed with a slingshot against a giant warrior clad in armor. Every logical mind would have said, "Give up, you don't stand a chance." But David had a different perspective. He didn't see a giant, He saw an uncircumcised Philistine defying the armies of the living God. His mindset wasn't focused on Goliath's size, but on God's power. He declared, "The battle is the Lord's." This wasn't bravado. It was a deep, unwavering conviction rooted in his relationship with God. He had seen God deliver him from lions and bears while tending his sheep. He knew his shepherd. This shift in perspective from focusing on the problem to focusing on the provider is the first step towards a renewed mindset. It's about remembering that the Lord is your shepherd, and if he is, you shall not want, even when everything around you screams otherwise. This principle of active faith isn't about denial, it's about declaration. It's about speaking truth into your situation, even when your feelings contradict it. When fear whispers, "You're alone," faith declares, "The Lord is my shepherd, I am never alone." When anxiety screams, "You'll never make it," faith whispers, "He leads me beside still waters, He restores my soul." This isn't just positive thinking, it's spiritual warfare. It's choosing to align your thoughts with God's truth rather than with the lies of despair or the noise of the world. It's understanding that your circumstances don't define your destiny. God's promises do. A renewed mindset begins when you consciously choose to feed your spirit with truth rather than allowing your mind to be consumed by fear and doubt. It's like tending a garden. You must actively weed out the lies and plant seeds of truth. Consider the story of Job. He lost everything, his children, his wealth, his health. From any human standpoint, his life was a complete disaster. His friends even told him to curse God and die. But in the midst of his unimaginable suffering, Job declared, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." Job 13:15. This wasn't because he understood why it was happening. It was because he understood who God was. His perspective was rooted in the character of God, not in the comfort of his circumstances. This is a profound example of a renewed mindset in action. It's about trusting God's goodness, even when his ways are beyond our comprehension. It's about holding on to the truth that he is still good, still sovereign, and still working, even when all evidence suggests otherwise. This active faith, this unwavering trust, is what allows you to find peace amidst chaos, because your peace is no longer dependent on the chaos subsiding, but on the presence of your shepherd within it. So how do you cultivate this renewed mindset in your daily life? It starts with intentionality. Just as you feed your body, you must feed your spirit. Spend time in God's Word, even if it's just a single verse each day. Let the truth of His promises wash over you. Listen to messages that uplift and encourage your faith. Surround yourself with people who speak life and hope, not just despair. And most importantly, practice gratitude. Even in the darkest moments, there is always something to be thankful for. A warm cup of coffee, a ray of sunshine, the sound of a bird singing, a kind word from a stranger. These small acts of gratitude begin to shift your focus from what is lacking to what is still present, from the chaos to the quiet mercies. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about acknowledging the good that still exists, even in the brokenness. This simple practice helps to retrain your mind to see the shepherd's hand at work, even in the smallest details, and to build a foundation of hope that the storms of life cannot shake. This is how you begin to find peace amidst the chaos, not by eliminating the chaos, but by inviting the shepherd into the very center of it and allowing his presence to transform your perspective. Now, let's confront something very real. The spiritual conflict, the war of the mind. You might have felt a glimmer of hope, a slight shift in your perspective, and then suddenly a wave of doubt, fear, or despair washes over you again. This isn't accidental. When you choose to lean on your shepherd, when you decide to trust in his guidance, you step onto a battlefield. The enemy of your soul doesn't want you to find peace. He thrives on your confusion, your weariness, your isolation. He whispers lies, amplifies your fears, and tries to convince you that your situation is hopeless, that God has forgotten you, or that you're not worthy of his peace. This is a real battle, fought not with physical weapons, but with thoughts, emotions, and spiritual attacks. It's crucial to understand this because recognizing the source of these negative thoughts is the first step in learning how to fight with faith and resist emotionally the chaos that tries to overwhelm you. Think about Peter walking on water. Jesus called him, and Peter stepped out of the boat, defying the laws of nature. He was walking on water, eyes fixed on Jesus. But then, the Bible says, he saw the wind and the waves. He shifted his gaze from the shepherd to the storm, and immediately he began to sink. This is exactly what happens in the war of the mind. We start strong. We fix our eyes on God's promises, but then we look at the wind and the waves, the overwhelming circumstances, the negative news, the discouraging words from others, or even our own past failures. And just like Peter, we begin to sink. The enemy wants you to focus on the storm, to believe its power is greater than your shepherd's. He wants you to forget that the one who called you out of the boat is also the one who calms the storm. To fight this battle, you must consciously choose where you place your gaze. Is it on the problem or on the provider? How do you fight with faith when your mind is a battlefield? It starts with the Word of God. The Bible is not just a book of stories. It is your sword in this spiritual warfare. When a lie whispers, "You are worthless," you declare, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made." Psalm 139:14. When anxiety grips you, you declare, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Philippians 4:13. This is not just reciting verses. It's internalizing them, believing them, and speaking them out loud, giving voice to God's truth over the lies of the enemy. It's like building a fortress around your mind, brick by brick, with every promise you claim. This active engagement with God's Word strengthens your spirit and gives you the ammunition you need to resist the emotional chaos that tries to pull you down. Resisting emotionally means acknowledging your feelings, but not letting them control you. It's okay to feel sad, angry, or afraid. These are human emotions. But you don't have to dwell in them, allowing them to dictate your actions or your future. It's about bringing those feelings to your shepherd, laying them at his feet, and asking him to transform them. It's like a child running to their parent after a nightmare. The fear is real, but the parent's embrace brings comfort and reassurance. Your shepherd is always there, ready to embrace you in your fear, to calm your anxieties, and to remind you that he is in control. This is where prayer becomes your lifeline, not just asking for things, but pouring out your heart, confessing your fears, and inviting his peace into the very core of your being. Let me share about Michael, a man who had lost his job and was facing severe financial strain. Every day, the whispers of failure and despair attacked his mind. "You're a burden. You'll never find another job. Your family will suffer." He felt himself slipping into a deep depression, almost ready to give up. But then he remembered a sermon he'd heard about the armor of God. He decided to fight back. Every morning, he would put on his spiritual armor. He would declare God's promises over his life, reminding himself that God was his provider, his strength. When a negative thought came, he would immediately replace it with a truth from the Bible. He started praying specific prayers against the spirit of fear and despair. It wasn't easy. Some days, the battle was fierce. But slowly, he began to feel a shift. The lies lost their power. The emotional chaos began to subside. He wasn't ignoring his situation, but he was choosing to fight it with faith, to resist the emotional onslaught, and to trust that his shepherd would lead him through this valley. He eventually found a new job, but more importantly, he found a renewed strength and a deeper understanding of how to stand firm in the face of adversity. This is how you strengthen yourself when you are almost giving up, by actively engaging in the spiritual battle, by clinging to your shepherd, and by refusing to let the chaos of your mind define your reality. After the battle, after the struggle, comes the promise of spiritual rest. This isn't a passive rest, like simply falling asleep. It's an active, profound peace that settles deep within your soul. A calm assurance that everything is going to be all right, not because you figured it all out, but because your shepherd is in control. It's the moment when you finally lay down your heavy burdens, not because they've disappeared, but because you've entrusted them to the one who can carry them. This is where hope is restored, not as a fleeting wish, but as a solid anchor for your soul. It's the certainty that even when you don't understand the path, everything is working together for your ultimate good, for the good of those who love God and are called according to His purpose. This is the beautiful, comforting truth that allows you to breathe again, to find solace, and to embrace a new beginning, even in the midst of lingering challenges. Think about a weary traveler who has walked for miles through a barren desert, facing scorching sun and biting winds. They are exhausted, dehydrated, and their spirit is almost broken. Then suddenly they see an oasis, a cluster of palm trees, a spring of clear water, a patch of green grass. The moment they reach it, they don't just collapse, they drink deeply. They wash the dust from their face. They lie down in the shade. This is the spiritual rest that your shepherd offers. He leads you beside still waters and restores your soul. He doesn't just promise an end to the journey. He provides refreshment along the way. This rest is not the absence of problems, but the presence of peace in the midst of them. It's knowing that even if the desert stretches on, you have a source of strength and renewal that never runs dry. It's the hope that springs eternal, because your hope is not in your circumstances, but in the unfailing love and power of your shepherd. The certainty that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. Romans 8:28 is a profound truth that brings immense comfort. This doesn't mean that everything is good or that bad things won't happen. It means that God, in His infinite wisdom and love, can take even the most painful, confusing, and chaotic experiences of your life and weave them into something beautiful, something purposeful, something that ultimately brings Him glory and brings you closer to Him. It's like a master weaver who takes threads of different colors and textures, some tangled, some broken, and creates a magnificent tapestry. You may only see the knots on the back, but God sees the masterpiece He is creating. This understanding allows you to release the need to control or understand everything, and instead to trust in His perfect plan. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned for years. From a human perspective, his life was a series of tragic injustices. He could have become bitter, angry, and hopeless. But through it all, Joseph held on to his faith. He continued to serve, to trust, and to believe in God's plan. And eventually, he rose to a position of power in Egypt, saving his family and an entire nation from famine. When he finally reunited with his brothers, he didn't curse them. Instead, he said, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today." Genesis 50:20. This is the ultimate example of all things working together for good. Joseph found spiritual rest and hope restored because he saw God's hand in his suffering, transforming his pain into purpose. So, how do you embrace this spiritual rest and restored hope in your own life? It starts with surrender. Surrender your need to understand every why. Surrender your desire to control every outcome. Surrender your anxieties and fears to your shepherd. This isn't giving up, it's giving over. It's an act of profound trust. Then practice gratitude for the small victories, for the quiet mercies, for the very breath in your lungs. Cultivate a heart that looks for God's hand, even in the shadows. Spend time in quiet reflection, allowing His peace to wash over you. And finally, embrace the idea of a fresh start, a new beginning. Every morning is an opportunity to lay down yesterday's burdens and walk forward with renewed hope, knowing that your shepherd is leading you. He is the one who makes all things new. He is the one who turns mourning into dancing, ashes into beauty, and despair into hope. This is your invitation to find true rest, to have your hope fully restored, and to live with the certainty that your shepherd is always working for your good, leading you to a future filled with his peace. So what is it that you truly need more of in your life right now? More faith to believe in what you cannot see, or more surrender to let go of what you cannot control? The Lord is your shepherd. He has been with you through every valley, and He will continue to lead you to green pastures. His peace is available, His guidance is constant, and His love never fails. If this message has touched your heart, if it has brought you a moment of peace or a glimmer of hope, please consider subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us share these messages with more weary souls, and we would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below with your testimony, how God has been your shepherd, or if you have a prayer request. Let's build a community of faith, supporting each other as we walk with our shepherd. May His peace be with you now and always.